Way Atelahai. So good morning and hello. Welcome to everyone to our monthly entrepreneur coffee break. My name is Carol Spicer with Spicer Facilitation. I think I know everyone on the call here this morning. So I'm very pleased to welcome Roshayne Mendis, and Roshayne, is Dr. Bazan joining as well?
He did mention, but
Okay.
yeah, I just sent him an email, let's say.
Okay, perfect. Roshayne is going to make a short presentation to us about a research project that was recently underway through the Harris Center, and we've got Chris from the Harris Center with us as well. So before I get Roshayne to introduce herself, I'm just going to take a moment to acknowledge, and I'm looking at this beautiful picture of the land, but I'll take a moment to acknowledge that I am in the Humber Valley in Pasadena, and it is located on the unceded territory of the ancient Beothuk. And I do ask that you join me in acknowledging with respect the diverse cultures and traditions of all Indigenous people. And in our province, we have 5 Indigenous populations. So it's the Mi'kmaq, the Beothuk, the Innu, the Inuit, the Southern Labrador Inuit. And so just want to acknowledge that, and beautiful picture that you have up there on your slide, Roshayne. So I think for the benefit of Roshayne to know who's on the line, I'm going to ask you just quickly to introduce yourself and perhaps tell us where you're located. It's one of those quirky things. Those that are with me always know that I like to know how far we're reaching when we're doing these virtual sessions. So just quick intro, who you are, what organization you're with, and where you're located. And I'm going to run alphabetically down the list, which could be your first name or your last name. So Chris, you're going to be up first, and then Daphne.
Usually when you say alphabetically, I'm thinking last name. So you caught me off guard, Carol.
That's it. That's why I say it depends on how you're in my list.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Chris Patterson. I'm the Knowledge Mobilization Coordinator with the Harris Center, as Carol mentioned, and we had some small role to play in the project you're about to hear about. So glad that it's coming to fruition. So anyway, glad to be here. Thank you. Oh, and excuse me, I'm in St. John's, Newfoundland.
Cool. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Daphne Zev. I'm in St. John's as well, and I'm with Newfoundland and Labrador Credit Union and LCU as a commercial business advisor. I've been here for a year and a half, and here to meet the community business needs, commercial needs, and excited to be here today.
Excellent. Thank you, Daphne. It's been a while since we've been able to connect, so it's nice to see you again.
Yes, same here.
Edwina, you're going to be up next, and then Kelly.
Good morning, Edwina Bateman. I am located on the other end of the island. I'm in Port Basque. I'm the owner of Avail HR Training Solutions, and I've had my business now for a little over 7 years. So looking forward to hearing about the training programs, because I have a lot of clients that want to avail of training programs.
Oh, you're on fire this morning, girl.
I'm on fire this morning. Thank you. Looking forward to it.
Excellent. Kelly, and then Brennan.
I'm Kelly Lennon. I'm with Bees Knees Event and Marketing, and I also wear a second hat of career development practitioner with WRDC, and that's about it for me today.
And where are you joining us from today?
Oh, sorry, I'm here in beautiful Pasadena.
It is. The sun looks like it's trying to come out, so it's going to be a nice day, I think.
Yes, I spent the long weekend in St. John's, so I got both ends of the weather this weekend.
There you go. Excellent. Brennan, and then Renee.
Hi, folks. I'm Brennan Lowry. I'm the manager of Navigate Entrepreneurship Center. Work pretty closely with Roshayne, so excited to hear about this work. Looks like my colleague Allison is also on the line, and I'm joining from Corner Brook.
Excellent. Thank you. Welcome. Marie-Renee, and then Allison.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Marie-Renee Garrett. I'm in Corner Brook. I work with Horizon TNL. I just got September 25th, and we got a new program, which is a program for women wanting to buy a new business. So it's brand new. So I'm looking forward to talk about it more. Yeah, that's it.
Excellent. Thank you. Welcome. Bienvenue. And Allison.
Hi, everyone. My name is Allison Rowe, and I'm the manager of the Navigate Business Incubator, working with Brendan. And also, Roshayne's worked with us for a while, so we're excited to hear her presentation today. And I'm in Corner Brook.
Excellent. Thank you. Welcome. So just to recap for those that may not kind of know about the Entrepreneur Coffee Break, we started as a pilot in January 2020 in partnership with Navigate. And we decided to go for 3 months, which was January, February, March of 2020. We all know what happened after then. So we just continued virtually. And Navigate was a sponsor for a couple of years and then shifted a bit of focus in some of the reorganization that they were doing. And so since then, I have been seeking sponsors for each month. And I certainly do want to acknowledge that Navigate is this month's sponsor. So thank you to Brendan and Allison for that. So I do want to give them just a minute to let everyone know who they are. So I don't know which one of you, Allison or Brendan, wants to do the little overview of Navigate. Allison, you probably got it down pat because you did it for me for so long.
I don't know. Were you planning on doing it, Brendan? I don't want to take your.
No, I mean, we could each say a little bit, or you can do it all. Doesn't matter to me. Okay,
well, wait, maybe we can each speak about the different sides of the coin that we support. I guess I can just say a little. I don't want to take too much time away from Roshayne, but the Navigate program's a partnership between Grenfell Campus and College in the North Atlantic, sponsored by ACOA or funded by ACOA and the provincial government. And we support early stage entrepreneurs. We support you right from the idea stage, and also we do a bit of promotion of entrepreneurship and trying to promote it as a career choice. And then we continue to support people once they've launched their businesses and help them grow again in those early stages. And that's what I do at the business incubator. It's once you're at the point of launching your business and you're looking to grow and establish yourself. That's when you would come to me. We also have 2 maker spaces in the Center for Research and Innovation here in Corner Brook, which is if anyone's familiar or who's not from Corner Brook, but across from the mill, there was a big old white building that was kind of derelict for a while. Well, if you haven't been here in a while and you come now, you'd be surprised to see this big, beautiful, shiny building that's been fully renovated. And so the incubator and maker spaces are there. We also have 2 entrepreneurship centers, one on each campus, which I'll let Brendan talk about.
Sure. Allison pretty much covered it all. I'll just quickly say that if folks are just starting to mull over a business idea, I would be the person to talk to. And if you have a business that's sort of already, started and you're kind of doing your thing, maybe earning some revenue, then you would probably talk to Allison, but feel free to reach out to either one of us.
Excellent. Awesome. All right. So thank you once again for joining us, and thank you to Allison and Brendan for sponsoring this month's coffee break. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Roshayne, to tell us a little bit more about yourself and your project and what you're updating us on today.
Thank you, Carol. So good morning, everybody. My name is Roshayne Mendis. I wear many hats, but today I'm presenting this project as a PhD student, a third-year PhD student. And I was on the project with Dr. Carlos Bazan from Memorial University. And my role here was to collect data, do the interviews and do the analysis of the interviews and present the findings for this chapter for the Humber Valley area. So that is what I'm going to talk about today. And this massive project has several phases to it. So this is just one phase, and I'll talk about what the other phases would be in my presentation as well. So it's great to see you all. And yeah, let's go ahead with the presentation. And while I'm doing the presentation, if you have any questions or if you want to talk about certain aspects in the presentation, please feel free to do so. Yes, so presentation mode. Okay, can you see the presentation now, Carol?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So the project is making entrepreneurship training programs accessible to women and immigrants in the Humber Valley area. And in my presentation, I'll be telling you why did we select these two groups and what are the other projects in this like massive project, what are the other phases for others who can avail of these trainings. So the outline that I'm going to talk about today would be a brief introduction to the study, and then I'll go through the methodology on how I collected the interviews and what was the process, and then what we heard from the participants in the Humber Valley area, and some concluding remarks and some questions at the end. So based on literature, we know that entrepreneurship is not the one size fits all model. It has to be
Roshayne,
customized.
I'm
Yes,
just going to interrupt for just a quick sec. Did you advance your
sure.
slide? Because it's still showing the cover slide.
I did advance it. Can you see it now?
Still showing the first one.
Okay, let me stop
Sometimes
share.
if you stop sharing and then reshare, it can fix it.
Okay. Uh, can you see it now?
Yeah, now it's on slide 2. Just flip back to 1 and then go back to 2 just to make sure. Yep, you're good.
Okay. Yes, so the outline of the presentation, like I said, would be the introduction, methodology, results, and some concluding remarks. So we know that entrepreneurship is not a one size fits all model, as traditionally research suggests, and we've been learning entrepreneurship, and we know that it has to be customized based on the needs, based on who you are, and based on the business you are doing, which stage of the business you are in. So there are several factors that you need to take into account. So yeah, so the introduction section talks about what the project is. So based on the Thriving Regions Community project from the Harris Center, one of the priority themes was training, education, and innovation for the Humber Valley area. And based on this priority theme, this project came into existence. And the purpose of this project is to build connections between the community and educational institutions, because we see that there is a gap out there on what the local residents need in terms of training and education, and what education institutions provide. So based on entrepreneurship training programs, this project was how can we bridge that gap, and what are some of the recommendations that participants suggest that we should implement. And it would end with a report to the Harris Center and also to our partner organizations on on a model, on a training program model that we are trying to revamp, like a course revamp that includes a lot of this accessibility criteria and also like the suggestions from the participants. So these would be the deliverables from this project. So the way that we collected data was we had a semi-structured interview guide, and we did a pilot test based on this interview guide and did some edits to the interviews. And after that, we started collecting data, and data collection and promotion was done widely. And if you see this poster that was in my second slide, this was widely shared in social media. I've sent this to the Deer Lake Town Council, Pasadena, and Comac, and it was widely shared with social media channels, and a lot of partner organizations also shared, and Navigate also shared this in their newsletters as well. And then we reached out to the Board of Trades And also there was a recruitment email that we sent all our partner organizations to share with their members. This was widely promoted and shared so that anybody who is interested could contact me and schedule an interview time. And that's how we recruited participants for the study. Um, and we also got huge support from our stakeholders because we know personally that they shared this information widely, and they also volunteered to have those interviews with us, which was great. And after the interviews were scheduled, the analysis was done based on, like, we transcribed the interviews, the recorded interviews, and found that there were some recurring themes that we identified through those interview process, and I'll be talking about those in my next slide. So a brief introduction about the participants. So majority of the participants were female, identified by the participants, of course, and 27% were male. And the reason why we included male participants, even though the heading says accessible entrepreneurship training programs for female and immigrants, um, some male participants in this study were newcomers, were immigrants, and there were some local residents who were attached to partner organizations and service organizations, and their perspectives did matter to us. And then they gave us some good input as well, like positive input about the project, and also they gave some recommendations because they closely work with a lot of their clients and they know what the barriers are out there and can give us good suggestions. So hence in our interview process, we didn't do any uh, like segregation. We included everybody. We wanted everybody's perspective on this. And 67% of the participants were local residents, and 33% were from minority groups. When I say they were immigrants. So
Roshayne, can I just
yes.
interrupt for a quick second? I just want to make sure that your slide is reversed because it's showing male 73% and female 27, but it's the reverse of that.
73% were female.
Okay.
Oops, sorry. Yeah, 27%.
Okay.
Were male. Sorry about
Okay.
that.
That's okay. Just want to make sure.
Yeah, and the participant distribution were 67% were Canadian locals and 33% were immigrants. So we had a good composition of our participants in the study as well, which was great. So the occupation of the participants, majority of them were entrepreneurs, which were great as well, so that their perspectives did matter, and then they shared good, effective feedback and recommendations as well. And 27% were representing service organizations or partner organizations, and 33% were students. But when I say students, majority of the students were in some way or the other entering into entrepreneurship. So they had taken the first step towards bringing their business or doing their business plans. So in some sort or the other, they were into entrepreneurship, which is great. So what we heard, the fun part, the results. So based on the interviews, there were certain themes that came up. And when we talk about accessibility, we cannot ignore the fact that technology has a huge role to play in terms of accessibility. So when we talk to participants about the technological advancement and how it has helped accessibility and what they think accessibility is in terms of entrepreneurship training programs, and what would they envision an entrepreneurship training program that is widely accessible. So technology was number one. And we know that when we talk about network challenges, we have all gone through that, and especially in rural communities, there are a lot of network challenges that they face. So how can we mitigate this? Can we partner with other organizations in the area to, once we have a participant from rural communities, to make sure that they have access to a good network system, or can this course material, and also can while we're facilitating and teaching these courses, can we use technological tools? And participants mentioned that there are so many technological tools available, such as breakout rooms, and we have whiteboards, we have sticky notes, and all these tools that we can use. So incorporating these in entrepreneurship training programs. And also majority of the participants, when I say majority, almost all the participants mentioned that hybrid sessions work well, because that allows you to do the course at leisure and also have some in-person networking sessions, because as entrepreneurs they did identify the fact that networks and connections are an important task or an important area of learning. And also translation. When it comes to translation, especially the newcomers, immigrants, face a barrier in terms of language barriers, because English can be their additional language, not even their second language. So how do we incorporate this into an accessible training program? Can we use technological tools to that would allow translation, or can the material be pre-recorded and put on a portal where they can play back at a reduced speed? And things like that were discussed in terms of technology. And the next discussion point was around the course structure, because a lot of participants during the session said that when we talk about a course like an entrepreneurship course, eh, the first thing that comes to their mind is a university setting. You go into a classroom and then listen to a lecturer, do your assignments and tight deadlines and deliverables. And that is not something that they would like. They would like a more practical sense of uh, education and training happening. And a participant also mentioned that it would be nice to have case studies in the Newfoundland context, where we get those case studies analyzed, and they can relate more when it's a local case study. So whether we can incorporate those aspects to the entrepreneurship course that we are going to revamp. And when I say customized, it's the course details sometimes might have to be customized if they are newcomers or whether they are local residents, because newcomers might need additional information about the Canadian context, the tax systems, the legalities, and how to do their accounts. Even though they have a accounts background, they might have a accounts background from their home country, but it can be totally different from the systems here. So how do we customize those aspects based on who the participants are in the course, or who the I won't say students, but who the people who are interested in taking the course? So how do we customize that aspect? And of course, the course structure has to be organized and planned in such a way that it would help to have a hybrid session over there, and also remove eligibility criteria. So it was interesting when a participant said, as soon as we have eligibility criteria in a course, we are excluding a few others. So how do we remove eligibility criteria and allow everybody to take the course who are interested? And the other discussion points were around the facilitator, how a good facilitator can make it engaging even if it's online. And one interesting point that a participant also brought up was, when you have pre-recorded sessions, that's something that they also have incorporated as a partner organization when they wanted to revamp some of their training programs. So they said that when you have a course pre-recorded and put it up on the portal or the website, and it's available for the participants to go do the course at their leisure, and maybe ask the questions to the facilitator for the next session. And even if they are not there at the next session, their questions would be answered. So that type of flexibility would enable a lot of people to take educational courses. And of course, how we promote it out there is important, because if we go out there and say that we're going to revamp our entrepreneurship training program and without giving much details, I don't think it would work, because we need to tell them that it's going to be a course based on practicalities on how to do business. And once you learn something today, it's something that you can go and apply into your business scenario the next day. So it's not you need some degree of theory, of course, but how do we do that communication part and that promotion part when we are structuring the course and in the pre-course details, how do we promote it and have the material carefully outlined. And when I say systemic here, it's about the cost, the funding for such projects. Because as soon as we have a cost attached to a training program, that can put some individuals away and not generate any interest. Uh, but there are certain, like based on experience, we've seen that when everything is free also it's not going to work. So how do we come up with a good cost structure and partnering with other organizations and government for funding? If it's like in-person sessions, how do we get that funding we need, and funding for the facilitator, and also whether if there is a cost attached to it, can it be reimbursed upon completion, which would be a motivation for participants to take the course and get their money back. Based on all flexibility. So it's so many things to consider when we are revamping a training course for people, for the community, for everybody. And these are some of the aspects that we had discussions, productive discussions with. And my next slide would talk about some of the barriers our participants said that women and immigrants face. And most of the barriers were family obligations for women and society expectations of female, especially like if they're single parents, the expectations, the additional responsibilities, and the perceptions of the society of what a female should do. And I know that it is changing now based on our discussions. We had good discussions with our participants and they mentioned it's changing, but it's still there, and we need to acknowledge that there is an additional burden fallen upon women and female. And because of this additional responsibilities, entrepreneurship courses might not be something in their priority list. So and also, like if we have tight deadlines and constant deliverables that they have to meet in this course structure, that can be a little problematic. And something that we found out that these barriers that women face is also linked to the stage in their life. So for an example, we have a young mother who has kids, and you talk about an entrepreneurship training program to her. Sometimes even though she's interested, she might not pursue uh, that aspect or the training program, but she might do it at a later stage in life. And if we have another female who have older kids and their responsibilities are a bit lessened and they have free time, then entrepreneurship training program would be something that they are ready to invest in. So these barriers also connect to the stages of life that they're in, which was also an interesting aspect as well. So how do we make this training program appealing to young mothers and also the also all the others as well, even if they are in the mid stage of their life. So that is why we like I said when I started, this is one phase of the project, and we also have another phase called Silver Entrepreneurship. So accessible training program for silver entrepreneurship means that anybody who is over 55, whether they are male or female, can avail of that course structures as well. So that is another aspect which is great. And that's something that we also found in our study in the Humber Valley as well, because it's two different barriers that they face based on the stage in their life. And also, when it comes to immigrants and newcomers, the course material has to be customized. And sometimes when the course material is like we use a lot of technical or academic words in the course and not a lot of practical knowledge. It can be difficult for them to comprehend and understand the context. So how do we make it simple terms to have a very engaging have engaging course material where you engage with participants, and also the material itself is interesting. So it is a huge part, like in pre-course details to think of, but some of the barriers are the course material itself. And some participants mentioned that in the past, when they took some of the entrepreneurship training programs, they had barriers such as the facilitator was not engaging, or the course material was too academic, or just theory and not practical, and they cannot apply that the next day in their business scenario. And also making connections was problematic, because if it was wholly online and you don't get to meet the participants, most participants in the Humber Valley were in favor of a hybrid session. And also systemic barriers. When I say systemic barriers, it's the funding, the cost attached to it, and also how we promote it. And can we get support from partner organizations and stakeholders to do this course, to have the pilot run and then revamp it and promote it widely. And a lot of female participants also mentioned that taking the initial risk, especially when they have small children, and if they do multiple jobs, they need the revenue source. And taking that initial risk of um, doing an entrepreneurship training program, but then they have all these other obligations to fulfill as well. That's also a barrier that they face on how to manage these multiple tasks, and whether there is some sort of help that they can get. So another participant during our sessions mentioned that she went to a training program, but then they were allowed to um, drop their kids to a childcare facility that they had prior agreements with. Uh, the organization had prior agreements with, so the participants can drop their kids and then attend the course. So that format was also great. So there are several things to consider when doing this entrepreneurship training programs or revamping a course. And before I move on to the next slide, so yeah, I'll just move on to the next slide so that you have a snapshot of all the barriers which we have put into a summarized graph. And an interesting fact that I would like to share is a male participant during our sessions mentioned that it is easier for him to take the kids to a hockey game and start networking and connecting with all the others there. But it's not so easy for a female to do that, even if they go in for a game with their kids, because they constantly multitask. And constantly what's working on their head is, what are we going to cook for dinner? And where do I take the kids next? And how there is so much to clean in the house, and all the other obligations like work schedules that they also have to fulfill. So even though the barriers are less in as time goes on, as your kids are old enough and independent, but still women do face these barriers. And while constantly multitasking, entrepreneurship education might not be in their priority list, but how do we make that important, especially if they want to venture into entrepreneurship? And that is where uh, the the accessibility area that I talked of, like the course details, the facilitator, and how do we promote those and have a very practical sense of a course revamped out there. So when we ask the participants what subject areas they are interested in, so these were the subject areas that they said they would like to see. So fundamentals and introduction would be for those who are not into entrepreneurship, but maybe planning to venture into entrepreneurship, what entrepreneurship is, how to do their business plans and all that. I know that there are several courses out there. And how do we bring out the practicalities out there in doing business? And can we learn from other entrepreneurs out there can we have that mix when we are structuring the courses were discussed. And understanding the Canadian labor market was predominantly for immigrant and newcomers who wants to understand what risk is involved in this market and before venturing into entrepreneurship. And like I said, case studies, practical learning, bookkeeping, networking, and communicating. Advertising and promotions was also a huge part of the talk. Because a lot of participants mentioned they do go in for advertising promotions trainings, but is there a way that a facilitator could do it online in a practical sense and show them, okay, this is how you run a Facebook ad, or this is how you do your market analysis, or things like that. Just take a practical case on the go and do a demo. So these things were interesting. So like I said, there are other phases to the project. Silver entrepreneurship is one. So an interesting conversation was also, we talk about females, we talk about newcomers and the barriers that they face, but do people talk about the barriers that older males face, especially in accessing training programs? So that is where we tried to do another report on silver entrepreneurship and collect information on that. And then we have entrepreneurship education for differently abled individuals, and this is a project that Memorial University is doing together with the engineering department on trying to get some like technological tools available for those who need, and then come up with a business model that would help entrepreneurs, and then subsequently a course revamp. And it's in the pilot run, and the pre-course details is still in progress. And yeah, so that's all the information with regard to the Humber Valley area. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Awesome.
I'd like to mention something, if I may.
Yes.
I'm involved with the Study and Stay NL program, and I know Hillary and Linda are quite involved in that. They're definitely actually running it. And we're looking at doing some form of networking program in the new year. And I think that's mostly for international students. And I think that's probably where a lot of it can help. A lot of the women and the immigrants is really having some form of mentorship out there. I think mentorship is really important. That's what we're trying to promote. We've been having a little bit of challenges with that in the past. So we're looking at it from a different lens and trying to see how can we really, so I have a couple of ideas that I'm going to be talking to the ladies and try to figure out how do we get the immigrants and the newcomers and the international students connected with the business community and get them to find mentors but mentors in a way that I think if for example, I'm in banking right now. So if someone is in finance and interested in banking or entrepreneur, as you're talking, I was thinking one thing would be great to do is if we could have, like, you know how you take your kids to work day? Something similar, like take your mentee to work day, and of course have it approved by your employer, and have them come into the office or the branch for a morning or a day, whatever works for the employer, and spend a couple of hours or get a feel for what the job will be like in the future. And when you're talking about one of the challenges are accounting and bookkeeping, I think maybe we can get a directory of local accountant, local businesses that, and connect them with the entrepreneurs, connect them with the new immigrants, and do the same thing. Have them spend time with them, and like maybe do an hour, a free hour of explaining them, and then of course there'll be a fee. But then maybe we can work with these individuals to have a lower fee for entrepreneurs and find funding somewhere else. So I think there's a lot of ideas came into mind while I was listening to you, but really, really great research. Thank you for that.
Thank you so
Suggestions,
much.
Daphne. Allison, the silver entrepreneurship. We've been talking about maturepreneur. We used to always tease Scott Andrews, who has the young futurepreneur for 40 and under. And Allison and I have always been joking, saying we need the maturepreneur for those of a certain age. So I gotta say, I was thinking of you, Allison, when she was talking about that part of the research. I'm like, yay!
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of the folks who come in to see us are over 40, and some a fair bit over 40.
Yeah.
Actually, I do have a quick question. While you've got me with the mic open here, Carol.
Yep, go ahead.
Roshayne, what was the group, the size of the group that was interviewed?
So it was 15 participants from Humber Valley. And
Okay.
there were 4 more who were interested, but they couldn't come during the summer because summers were really busy for them. And I had to park that because we have to start going ahead with the reporting and all that. But if we do want more interviews to do, maybe next year, if there's another project, maybe we can get them in. So yeah, summers were really busy, and that was one of the challenges we faced, even if it was like widely communicated and promoted. Most of them were interested, but because it was a really I would say busy summer, they wanted to do it during the winter, and due to the deadlines, we couldn't accommodate that, but they're still in the pipeline if we need more data.
I'd recommend connecting with the Study and Stay group, actually. I used to be with that group before I came to Navigate, and part of what they do is support entrepreneurship for newcomers. So for student international student entrepreneurs. So that might be sort of an embedded study that you could do as they go through the program.
Great idea.
Marie-Renee, I think I saw you frantically writing some notes, so might be a good chance for you to ask a couple questions, and then I'll give you an opportunity to talk about your programming too.
Yeah, I was taking a bunch of notes because this was a great presentation. And so my position with Horizon, so it's a brand new position too. So there's so much to learn, and I have so much networking to do too. And talk about the new program that we do have. Most of you, I think, know Andrew Hibbets in Stephenville. So now I'm glad to be on the West Coast as well and developing that program. So it exists in New Brunswick with the Ready there, and they decided to go national with it. So I'm the person that's going to be representing Labrador, Newfoundland and Labrador. There's also Nova Scotia, PEI, and Saskatchewan that's on board now. So we just got our training in September in Halifax. So it was great to meet everybody. So basically, I'm going to be responsible for 2 platforms. The first one is not quite ready yet. It is only in French, but if you know any Francophone that's in Newfoundland and Labrador that would want to participate, the website is ready in French, but they're putting it all in English. They say beginning of 2024. It's going to be called Solution Succession. So it's made possible with the funding of the Women in Entrepreneurship Ecosystem Fund of the Women in Entrepreneurship Strategy. I can speak this morning, yeah. And so basically it's a free program, and it's for women that wants to acquire a business that already exists. And it's 3 levels. So the level 1 is search for business opportunities. So basically there's going to be, determine your type of buyer, identify succession options, how to prepare to buy a business, and how to write your business plans and more. Then in the second one, it's like, okay, so she's going to be ready to buy the business. So it's a bit more focused on how to prepare for your first meeting with your financial institution, what's your financial capacity, how to negotiate the purchase of a business and more. And the third level, basically, it's she bought the business and she wants to know how to integrate herself into the business. So there's like 100 days integration plan in there. And there's a transition plan and how to demystify accounting and prepare for risk management. And there's going to be coaching available too. So I'm going to be looking for coaches that are going to be able to provide assistance to the candidates, because my role is going to be really to just guide them through the program and things like that. But if they have more in-depth business questions, then they're going to be referred to their coach. So this is a great program. And I can't wait for it to be in English because, of course, there's more Anglophone here compared to New Brunswick. But definitely, if there's any Francophone or Anglophone, this platform is going to be available in both languages. And the other one that kind of goes parallel with it is for everybody. So male, female. It's a online platform. It's called the SME for Small Medium Enterprise Succession Hub. So it's very simple. It's a free platform that is going to have sellers, so people that want to sell their business, buyers, and also experts can be on there. So any lawyers, accountants, anybody that would help really do a transactional business. So people can try to find experts, and the map is there of Newfoundland and Labrador, and it's all divided by section. Have one business so far, so it's phone calls, and nobody knows about the platform yet. Again, it's brand new, but it's a great service, and we want to get all the business, to stay in Newfoundland, Labrador. So when a woman goes into that solution succession program, she's going to register herself as a potential buyer, and she can see what business are available into the area where she wants to be and things like that. So in a nutshell, that's the two new services that we're going to be offering. And that platform, the SME Succession Hub, is ready. So if you know anybody that wants to sell their business or be a buyer or be there as an expert for some visibility, and it's free, well, they've got nothing to lose to be on there. And the more business that we get, the better. So when we have women ready to get into the program, they get some business too they can look at. That's about it.
Awesome. Thank you. Allison, you have some questions?
Yes, well, actually, that's an interesting program indeed, and one that's needed. I'd love to connect more about it afterwards. I do also have a question about the Francophone side of the programming. Is that open to international students or newcomers as well? Because there are a lot of, in particular, North African Francophones who've moved here.
As far as I'm aware, they need to be Canadian citizen to be a part of this program.
Brendan?
Yeah.
Sorry, I was trying to lower my hand. Sorry.
That's okay. So I wanted to mention another program that I recently learned about, and then a quick question. So the Community Sector Council is just starting to roll out this program called Social Enterprise Through Acquisition. It sounds like it kind of has a similar goal as the one that Marie Renee was just telling us about. But instead of a woman-owned enterprise acquiring, say an aging business or whatever you want to call it, it would be a social enterprise like that would somehow be set up to take over a business that someone who's retiring and wants to, pass the business on. So I can share information about that if anyone's interested. And then I just had a question, Roshayne. The kind of subject matter areas that your participants were interested in, it sounds very familiar to a lot of the asks that we get and others, perhaps. Were they ranked by like the frequency that participants mentioned them or anything like that? Maybe I missed that.
It was not ranked in that frequency, Brennan, but I can look into that. But in general, these are the subject areas that we had discussed during our meetings, our interviews. And yeah, when they did mention those, something that also clicked to me was they actually do exist at the moment, some of those courses. But the main theme that came out of all that was to have the practical sense, like the way we could teach in terms of like, even though it's facilitating the course structure, to incorporate the practical business learnings and practical case studies from Newfoundland, if it's possible, because then they can relate much better and learn the market concept as well while studying for the course. So that is something that was repeatedly mentioned by majority of the participants. Because in most of the courses, what they mentioned was we have case studies from some other countries, sometimes in the Canadian context, but that might not be applicable for the Newfoundland context. And if we have case studies from here, not you not just learn the concepts or the problems and how to go about that, you also learn the marketing, like the market scenario as well, of that business, and try to learn all the other aspects, which is a I would say a huge learning for businesses here.
Excellent. Chris.
Thanks. I'm first of all, Carol, thanks for inviting me to join this and letting me be aware of it. And Roshayne, it was good to hear. It's fantastic. Just a quick, I gotta sign off in a few minutes here, so I just wanted to make a quick mention. As Roshayne said, this was part of the Humber Valley Thriving Regions project. So as part of those processes and projects, we typically will come back to the region, and we're going to do that again this year, where the researchers then present their findings, their results back to community members. So just giving you all a heads up, we have not set a date yet. We're still waiting on sort of getting the final sort of thumbs up from both sets of researchers that they're ready to go. But right now, we're probably looking at coming back to the Humber Valley region somewhere, my guess would be February, weather permitting, so fingers crossed. So once we have a date, we'll definitely, and Carol, I can obviously I'll be sharing it through you since you're a member of our team out there, our local team. But I can, if it's all right with others, I'll include all of you on the distribution list so you're aware of it. And part of what we do in that last session is to invite folks in the room to start talking a little bit about, all right, where do we want to take this? How do we build on the efforts of the researchers and do something within the region? So for some of you who might be interested in sort of being part of a conversation with other community members on what to do with some of this work that Roshayne and Carlos and Jennifer have done, there'll be an opportunity there to sort of figure out some potential next steps with the researchers there in the room. So just heads up on that, and you'll hear more about that hopefully in the coming weeks.
Excellent. Thank you, Chris. Yeah, this has been absolutely a full circle moment for me. As Chris mentioned, I was on the leadership table for the Humber Valley Thriving Regional Project Partner Program. I don't know, there's probably too many P's in that. So I was part of the, a bunch of researchers presented to us, and then part of our team did the selection of which projects to go forward. And then Chris's group was able to work out some funding to help support the research. I was one of the interviewees. Roshayne interviewed me as an entrepreneur. So I took off the leadership hat, put on my entrepreneur hat. So it's really cool for me today to see kind of this full circle moment, to not only see it from the leadership perspective of the research project that was funded, but also as a participant to hear back. So thank you, Roshayne, for taking the time to do that with us today. And thank you, Brennan, for the suggestion. As we worked out Navigate sponsorship, and we were bouncing around some ideas, and he said, well, I know there's a project that was on the go. So, so it was a great suggestion to come back. Anything that anyone else would like to add about what's maybe happening in your world? Anything that's coming up that we should know? So we got February. I did give Chris that he shouldn't come out during Carnival week because people are too busy. That was about the only thing for February. What else is on the go in the world out there? Navigate must have some stuff coming up, don't you?
We do. I'm trying to haul up the newsletter so I get the times right. Just give me 1 second.
Yeah, not
anyone else wants to go first?
All right. Well, while you're doing that, I will mention that our next coffee break is December 13th. Registration is open on my website. If you just scroll right to the bottom of my website, spicerfacilitation.ca, you'll see the event, and you can click on the Teams link to register. For that particular one, I have Amy Jones is coming in as my guest. She's with the Government of Canada procurement section. So it's going to be about doing business with the Government of Canada. I can tell you it's a tricky process. However, it can be a very rewarding process to go through. So personally, I have a supply agreement or arrangement, I think they call it, with the Government of Canada, which allows me to be on the list that people can come to me, departments can come to me without having to go out to a tender. If it's under a certain dollar threshold, I've just gone through the process to get added to another supplier arrangement, and my references are being checked right now. So I'm fingers crossed, hopefully I'll get that approval. So she's going to talk a little bit about the Canada Buy and Sell website and how you can look for potential opportunities for doing business with the Government of Canada. And there's a couple initiatives as well around purchasing, I think, for Indigenous communities and also women. I think there's a couple, I know there's a pilot project on the artisans, Indigenous artists and crafts people. So she can talk a little bit more about that as well. So Allison popped in a link into chat for the newsletter, but if you also want to update us, Allison, on what you found.
Yes, so just a few things. I don't know, people may not be aware of. At the new Center for Research and Innovation, it's a large co-working space that's open to anyone who wants to come in and work out of the space. We also have 2 co-working spaces, or one at each campus. So there's a co-working space here at the CNA campus where I am today, and there's a co-working space at Grenfell Campus where Brennan is. So those are open to students and the general public if you want to come in and work on your idea or meet with other entrepreneurs or meet with us. They're there for you, and it's free access. So just wanted to mention that. We've also, for anyone who is sort of at that incubation stage where they're just about to launch and they're getting ready to grow their business, applications are now open to the incubator, and you'll find the link to apply in that newsletter link that I just sent. We also have our Business Wings 2.0 mentorship program that started up. It launched last week. It's going to be happening bi-weekly, and it's basically a fairly informal gathering Wednesday evenings. The time may change. We're getting feedback from people to see what they prefer, but as of right now, it's on Wednesday evenings bi-weekly from 5:30 to 7:30, and it's new entrepreneurs getting together with existing entrepreneurs to share ideas, ask questions, and basically create a sort of peer-to-peer group that can help you grow. And again, the link, actually, I need to put up, there'll be another link for November 22nd, but you can just follow us on social media, and you'll see when the next sessions are coming up. We've got an entrepreneur coffee break and a business incubator open house happening tomorrow. I'm like, what day is it? And that's is it 11 to 12:30, Brendan? I don't have it right in front of me.
It is, yeah, and it's kind of Carol and us are doing a little bit of a do-si-do with this one being virtual, and then we've got one in person, so people can go to both or one or the other depending on where you are.
Yep.
And so that's at the Center for Research and Innovation tomorrow. So we encourage you to come on down. There's also a workshop coming up. It's branding with passion and purpose. And that's happening on the 24th on the Friday afternoon from 1 to 4. And that's a free workshop, and you can sign up for that as well. And we're also looking for mentors to support our new entrepreneurs and also to join that Business Wings program. That's a few of the things. Brendan, did you have anything else you want to add?
No, yeah, it's I think just the coffee break for anyone in the area who can get to Corner Brook easily. Would be great to see you all and keep the discussion going for entrepreneurs and support people and anyone else who's interested in being part of the startup community.
Excellent. Maria Renee would be a great spot for you to pop into if you can tomorrow.
I'm currently in Quebec with my parents. I just got here yesterday.
Okay.
But definitely I'll be back to Corner Brook beginning of December, and I'll be everywhere, hopefully.
There you go. Okay,
So,
awesome.
Marie-Renée, you're based in Corner Brook? Like living in
Yes,
Corner Brook?
I'm on
Okay.
Yes, I'm on the top of Massey Drive.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So Maria Renee and I met, for those that know Andrew Hibbets, as she mentioned, her colleague, he invited me to an event at Le Coin Franco, and I thought it was an entrepreneur event, and it was a Speak French All Night event. because it was a group of Francophones in Corner Brook. And so I went right back to grade 8 French immersion and drew on all of my French skills, which I had a headache when I left, but Marie-Renée says I did a great job. I understood most of what they said. A few of them were just way too fast for me, but it was a lot of fun meeting a bunch of fine folks in the community. And I've seen one of them has just won a Juno or a music award, Louise, for her French recordings and all kinds of things. So it was lovely people, but it was hard on the brain going into French all night. So I can only imagine, Marie-Renée, for you hearing English all the time, it's probably the reverse of what I had.
Is
And
Le
Roshayne-
Coin Franco still happening? Sorry.
Oh no, go ahead. Sorry.
Is Le Coin Franco on the go still? Like it's, I went a while ago, but I haven't been there in forever.
Yeah, still on the go. And if you want to come and just hear French or say a few words, everybody's welcome. Really, we play darts and we just socialize. Really, it's a good group of people.
It was
When
lovely
is that
people.
happening? Or how do you sign up?
It depends. Sometimes you can just follow the Facebook page and sometimes like a painting night or it's a dart night or a movie night in French, or it really depends.
And is it only in Central?
It's in Western right now, yeah.
On Western, yeah, sorry, Western. Oh, okay, cool. Because I'd like to have that in St. John to practice my French for sure.
Yeah, they're a great group of people. There's food. That was what drew me too.
Yeah, it goes together.
It does.
What's the name of the
Speaking of
Facebook?
which, Allison and Brendan, I truly expected wings at Business Wings. But anyway, it's all good.
Business Wings used to be like, this is 2.0 version, but it used to be wings and beer.
There you go.
Now it's finger food and wings.
Yeah. Le Coin Franco. I'll get Marie-Renée to pop it in chat for you. There you go. Awesome. All right. Well, if there's nothing else, I think I'm going to close off. I'll stop the recording, but I want to thank you. Merci beaucoup à tous for attending and sharing the information. As I say, Roshayne, thank you so much, because for me, it truly was a full circle moment to see from the beginning to this stage and having been a participant as well. So I was really appreciative of that. So keep an eye out.
Thank you so much for having me.
Keep an eye out. The recording will be up later on social media, either this evening or tomorrow. And hopefully I get to see you in December if you're able to join us for our December coffee break. Thank you once again. Huge thank you to Brennan and Allison at Navigate for not only sponsoring, but for being such a strong supporter of entrepreneurs. And it's something that I said at the Business Wings night last week to new people entering into it. There are a ton of people who want you to succeed. And I just think that is so rewarding. And it's not just all of you that are the supporters for us. It's also other entrepreneurs in the community that want you to succeed, because then our region thrives, which is exactly what the project was that Chris was talking about. And so I've seen a real shift in my 5 years, and I think that there's much more cooperation and support and cheerleading from entrepreneurs to entrepreneurs. And then having those wraparound services is what we need just to keep us going. And sometimes it's having the beer and wings and just crying in your beer for a little bit. And other times it's celebrating the successes. So part for me is why I offer this service. And I'm grateful to my sponsors that keep it going, because I do think having people come together and just have an opportunity to connect and put faces to names and cheer each other on is really, really important. So thank you once again for attending. I wish you all a great day, and hopefully we'll see you either tomorrow at Brennan's, although Brennan, my car's in the shop. I'm not sure I'm going to make it. I got to figure that out. But if I don't see you in person over the next little while, hopefully we'll see you online next month. So take care, everybody, and have a great afternoon.
Take care, everybody.
Take care.